In Argentina, football isn't just a passion, it's poetry, it's history, it's pain and glory stitched into every jersey, every goal. And in this footballing faith, there are two deities, Diego Armando Maradona and Lionel Andres Messi. One played like a man possessed, a genius wrapped in chaos. The other, a miracle of control and grace. For decades, this debate has echoed across barrios, bars, and broadcast booths. Is Messi better than Maradona? The answer lies not in statistics alone, but in a story of two lives, two eras, and one country that worshipped them both. Diego was born in Villa Fiorito, a neighborhood where dreams were often crushed by poverty. But Diego had something no one could deny: magic in his feet. At just 10 years old, the world began to take notice. His control, his improvisation, it was unnatural. By 16, he had debuted for Argentinos Juniors. By 17, he had already played for Argentina. And soon, Boca Juniors came calling, offering not just a club, but a stage for the street kid who defied the odds. Maradona didn't play football. He lived it, with fury, with soul. He moved to Europe with Barcelona, but it was in Napoli that he found his kingdom. A city often mocked by the rest of Italy found its hero in a man as fiery and flawed as itself. Thousands of miles away, in Rosario, another boy was quietly carving his own path. Unlike Diego, Lionel Messi didn't come with fire. He came with silence. A boy of few words, smaller than most kids his age, and facing a hormone deficiency that could have ended his dream before it began. But fate intervened. FC Barcelona took a chance, flew him to Spain, and paid for his treatment. At La Masia, Messi began to evolve. By the time he was 17, he was playing alongside Ronaldinho. By 19, he was a global star. And by 23, he was being whispered in the same breath as Maradona. Comparing club careers is where the scale begins to tilt. Messi's career at Barcelona wasn't just successful, it was historic. Over 700 goals, 10 La Liga titles, 4 Champions Leagues, and a style of play that redefined the modern game. He made the extraordinary routine. But Maradona? His legacy wasn't built on stats, it was built on transformation. He didn't join a giant, he built one. When he arrived in Napoli, the club had never won a title. By the time he left, he had delivered 2 Serie A titles, a UEFA Cup, and something far greater: respect. Napoli didn't worship Diego because of what he won. They worshipped him because of who he became. A symbol, a rebel, a god who made the impossible real. So what's more valuable? Sustained excellence in the world's top club? Or a messiah-like impact in a place that needed hope? In Argentina, greatness isn't sealed until it's done in blue and white. And for decades, Maradona stood alone. In 1986, he gave the performance of a lifetime. 5 goals, 5 assists, and 2 of the most iconic moments in football history: the hand of God and the goal of the century. That World Cup didn't just belong to Argentina, it belonged to Diego. He was captain, leader, and savior. In '90, he took them to the final again. In '94, the fall came, the drug test, the ban, the heartbreak. For Messi, international glory was elusive. He lost 3 finals. He walked off the pitch in silence. The media turned. Some said he didn't feel Argentine enough. The pressure, the comparison, the ghosts of Diego. They haunted him. Then came 2021, the Copa America. Messi cried, a nation rejoiced, and the final chapter was written in Qatar, 2022. 7 goals, clutch performances, and finally the World Cup, lifted high just like Diego. 2 World Cups, 2 captains, 2 unforgettable journeys. Maradona was chaos. He danced through defenders with an elegance that felt improvised, dangerous, and divine. He was often hacked, fouled, marked by 3 men, but still he triumphed. Messi's brilliance was quieter, more precise. His low center of gravity, vision, and acceleration made him untouchable. He turned defenders into statues and games into poetry. He did it over 2 decades, without scandal, without falling from grace. Maradona was art in flames. Messi, art in motion? Which is greater, the genius that burns bright or the one that endures? Diego was more than a footballer. He was a cultural icon, a symbol of resistance, a working-class hero, a man who fought institutions and paid the price. He lived fast, loved harder, and died with a nation mourning. Messi is a different kind of hero, a humble leader, a role model, never controversial, never scandalous. He inspired a generation not just to play better, but to live better. Maradona was a myth. Messi is a model, both irreplaceable, both eternal. So, is Messi better than Maradona? It depends on what you see when you look at greatness. If you see fire, rebellion, raw beauty, you may choose Maradona. If you see precision, longevity, humility, and perfection, you may choose Messi. But perhaps the real answer is this: we are lucky to have seen both. To live in a world where Diego once dribbled past England, and where Lionel once conquered the world with a whisper. 2 different eras, 2 different men, 1 legacy. There is no right answer, only stories. And in the story of football, both Maradona and Messi will live forever. Not because they were the same, but because they were both unforgettable. Legends don't replace each other, they stand side by side.